Welcome to Breaking the Stigma, Just Listen. For the next half hour, we're going to share with you the stories of 4 brave members of the LGBTQIA community about how they came out, how they feel about being out, and the struggles they faced along the way. And as the series is named, they don't want your opinion, they just want you to listen. Meet Kai, Mark, Alice, and Chris. They're all just people. The only thing different about them is how they identify. They're all members of the LGBTQIA community, one that, despite society's advances in awareness and understanding, is still fighting for equality. Is that something that people should have to worry about? Is it fair that they worry about it?
No, it's not fair at all. Because as a heterosexual male or female, do you have to worry about it?
And those worries are legitimate.
Police are investigating multiple deadly shootings, allegedly targeting members of the LGBTQ community. The crime's a violent reminder of why those in the community say Pride Month and more awareness is so needed.
There's so much non-education that happens that people stigmatize everything that we do. And so people don't realize that we have these parades, we do all these events, and we act like a certain way because we're trying to get the same rights that you've had for your entire life.
According to Dr. Diane Illig, director of the Safe Spaces Training Program at Salisbury University, and Dr. Michelle Schlehofer, the executive director of PFLAG Salisbury, the struggles for those in the LGBTQIA community are daily.
Because LGBT people face a lot of day-to-day discrimination and hostility. It can be in quite subtle ways called microaggressions, or it can be pretty overt, like denying somebody housing, denying somebody a job, or even attacking somebody physically.
Doctors Illig and Schlehofer say part of the reason those microaggressions and aggression in general exist towards the LGBTQIA community is because most in society assume that the people around them are heterosexual.
And those assumptions lead people to act in ways that they think are harmless, but are actually in many ways quite marginalizing and quite stigmatizing.
But out of the whole community, they say one group suffers more violent acts of aggression than any other.
Trans women are the ones who are most violently assaulted in our culture. Part of that is because it is the idea that masculinity comes with a certain amount of privilege and power associated with being male, and to give that up is a threat to masculinity.
Trans women, like Alice.
Every trans person is worried about whether they pass or not.
For Alice and many other trans people, it's a daily struggle for them because sometimes their anatomy may not match their identity.
So most people don't even acknowledge that I'm even here. They see a tall person and they hear a low voice and they say, "Have a good day, sir." They don't even think about it. They don't even take an extra moment to examine somebody else. They're so wrapped up in their own world.
Although they don't face as many acts of aggression, non-binary people like Kai more so encounter confusion and disbelief.
There's people who just don't believe it. It's the way it is with a lot of queer identities, is people just don't like it, so they don't talk about it, or they shut it down and say that it's fake, or anything of the sort.
Kai identifies as non-binary bisexual and prefers the pronouns they, their, and them, which means they don't identify as male or female and that they are attracted to both non-binary and binary people. As Kai tells it, that's a lot for people to comprehend, and because of that, non-binary people are often the subject of jokes.
The biggest joke that I've heard with this, and I hear it so much, is like, "Oh, well, I identify as an Apache attack helicopter." I don't know if you've heard that one, but people say it a lot when it comes to transgender issues, especially non-binary, because they're like, "Oh, well, if we can identify as anything, then I'll identify as an inanimate object, ha ha ha."
According to Kai, Mark, Alice, and the professors, the answer to fixing those misunderstandings, microaggressions, and more is more awareness and hopefully acceptance. How do we get to the acceptance part, or is that something that we can ask for?
I think we can ask for it, but I don't think we can expect it.
Now, for those who don't know, LGBTQIA stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual. And as you've heard, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to fight the stigma surrounding that community. That's why, as you've noticed, we've only been using first names. The good news is there's a lot of resources out there for those in that community. Camp Rehoboth in Delaware and PFLAG in Salisbury. In fact, we'll have a link to those places on our website, 47abc.com. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at how that stigma that we just discussed affected our 4 members, Kai, Chris, Alice, and Mark, in terms of their own stories in finding themselves. Stay with us.